Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Inside Red Dragon Sports. I'm your host, Geoff Hassard, Assistant Director of Athletics and Sports Information Director here at SUNY Oneonta. And as we continue through the winter season, tonight we're going to feature men's and women's swimming and diving. So please join me after the break where I'll be joined in studio by head coach Chris Schuler-Giorsi.
Looking for these? You drive buzzed. It could be one very expensive ride.
First, you gotta make bail. Then pay me to get your car back.
Your insurance premiums will go through the roof.
And my legal fees just keep adding up. All told, it could end up costing you $10,000.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is head men's and women's swimming and diving coach Chris Schuler-Giorsi. Welcome back to the show, Chris.
Hi, Jeff. How are you?
Why don't you give us a little idea of how things are going so far for you this season?
So far this season, things are actually going really well. We're on schedule as far as our training cycle is concerned. We're about 2 weeks out from taper, 3 weeks out from championship. So the athletes, I think, are more mentally than even physically kind of beat up and broken down. Practices require a little bit of pep talk every day to just kind of keep them focused and going. But they're almost there, and they're doing very well with what they're doing in the training in the pool right now.
Now, when you talk about training cycles, can you give us an idea of what their training cycles are like for? Yeah,
definitely. We start out at the beginning of the year with some longer yardage with not as high of intensity, so it's just sort of establishing a foundation or basis in their overall conditioning. We do a little bit of the technique work. It does too vary between the mid-distance group, the mid-distance swimmers and the distance swimmers, and then the sprinters. Yardage volume obviously is capped more so for the sprinters than the mid-distance and distance group, but the basis or foundation at the beginning is just kind of working up the yardage without as much intensity. Once we've reached appropriate volumes and yardage for each of the different training groups, as we go into November, we add on that really higher intensity piece. And for the swimmers, they know them as parametric sets. The sprinters they go into a different phase of their weight training, which really focuses a lot more on ballistic activity, which is kind of the nature of what it is that they do. They're just fast, explosive, with not as much endurance required as the mid-distance, distance groups go.
Right. Now, so early season, as you said, they're just trying to build some foundation for, what their events are going to be, and, working on some things you might find in their strokes and stuff. This year, as you look at some of the early season results, we actually were performing, some of the times, and we were setting some records in the pool, here at Oneonta and also at other venues. And as we have a couple of big invitationals. We have the North Country up at Potsdam, and then we compete in the ECAC Winter Meet. Are you looking for fast times at the beginning of the year, or is that a bonus for as you move towards the end of the year?
There's so many variables. I've actually tried to analyze the psychology and science behind why they swim fast when they swim fast, or they don't swim fast when they don't swim fast. There's so much that comes into play on it. First, you have to ask yourself, how well conditioned were they coming into the season? How much did they maintain from the previous year into the incoming year? That really has an impact on that. I believe over the years, our team has done a much better job of maintaining that. So they are coming into the season in really good shape, which is why we kind of see some of those fast times right at the beginning of the year. It then sort of either plateaus or goes into, even maybe a back step as we move further into the season, because we're really breaking them down. We're adding on the yardage. They're up early in the morning for morning practices. They're usually up late because of academics. The peak of our training cycle also hits the peak of the academic cycle. So their stress levels are fairly high. Then we run into sort of like the Thanksgiving break. The timing of that break really throws a wrench kind of in what we need to be doing in terms of our training, because as much as they have opportunities to go back home and possibly train, or that they have good intentions of going home and training, not all of them have access to facility opportunities where they can train. It's different than like the land-based sports where they just go outside and run. They need to actually find a swimming pool that somebody will allow them to get in and continue to do their conditioning. So that we do sometimes see a small hiccup as a result of that. That's why at our ECAC championships, sometimes our times are spotty all over the place. The big picture is, and talking them through all of that process, it depends also too, like, are they freshmen or are they upperclassmen? Because it does affect them differently. I think their muscle memory and just their psychological memory experience of where they know they should be, how they know they should feel, and how they can kind of get themselves to move through it obviously gets better as they become more upperclassmen. The big picture, though, is what do you do at championships? Anything that you get from them in between is great. If they're faster, great. It just means, in theory, they're going to go that much faster at championships. If they're not, it's, you're stressed out and you're broken down, and just keep moving forward.
So you say that the transition for a freshman is a lot harder for this type of training, both mentally and physically.
Yes, unbelievably. And I used to think when I first started coaching that it was easier on the age group swimmers than it might be just on the 3-season sport high school athlete, because their season really is just a sprint season. They're done in 2.5 months, and that's it. The age group swimmers, they're used to training for a longer season throughout the course of the year, as well as sometimes even summer league that they'll do. But I think the transition, not only between how we train at the college level differently than what they're used to at the club level, plus the adaptation of sharing a room with somebody, eating in the dining halls, having a different work schedule, class-wise, they have no idea what's coming after them, and it really is a huge adjustment. It's by far the hardest year they'll ever have. And they, when I talk to my seniors and they reflect on it, they all have that as a recollection.
Now, so it helps, of course, on both of our teams. We have quite a few upperclassmen, seniors and juniors, who have been kind of through the ringer, you'd maybe say. How important is that for them to, I guess, maybe be involved with the freshmen that are coming into the program? Yeah,
actually, immensely. It's been a lot of years now, maybe about 10 years, I made that observation that the strength and unity of our upperclassmen really has a direct impact on our freshmen coming in and our sophomores our freshmen transitioning into sophomores. It can't just be me and the captains. It really needs to be everybody on the up top helping out with that. And so we do a lot of that leadership building in the upperclassmen group and talking them over about what are the expectations, of them for our freshmen when they come in. Because, I become like mom. You stop listening to mom after a while when I say do your homework and get a good night's sleep kind of thing. But when the upperclassmen call them out, and let them know that they're really going down the wrong path, they listen to them so much better. They respect it from them because they're just closer in age maybe, and it's more relatable for them. And it's made all the difference in what our program is in terms of the unification and really the family that we have evolved to become.
Right. Now, so let's talk a little bit about some of our top men and women. We'll have a couple on the show tonight, but who are some of our big name swimmers and divers that that will really perform well at championships and maybe in the NCAAs, right?
Sure,
I mean, we're in the NCAAs.
Yeah, most definitely. Jermaine Miller, obviously, is our diver. He's just having a stellar season with his dives right now. He just recently at the Ithaca Invite broke one of the 3-meter 11 dive school record that he was only like a couple points away from last year. So for him to be able to get that now was really just, I think, a great catalyst for him going into championships, and then moving on to the diving qualifications. That'll be later on in March. He's obviously, qualified to be able to go there. So
right now he has all the school records now in diving. It was that last one he had to knock off, and that record stood for 35 years, which is kind of amazing when you think about the scores and the skill of Jermaine, and what we had back in the 70s for divers here. So I thought that's amazing, and it's great for Jermaine.
Yeah, definitely. I'm very excited for him.
So who are some of our swimmers?
On the men's side for swimming, Colton Rowe. He has some very strong aspirations for what he would like to be going forward in the 100 backstroke. He wants to qualify for nationals for sure, and he wants to place big on the national stage. So we're keeping up on him and hoping his taper goes well. Ryan Walsh is the same thing in the 100 butterfly. Really wants to make that NCAA cut time for his 100 fly. On the women's side, we're looking at Lauren Zenko for big things to come on her, as well as
now she's a sophomore. Now she's someone who transitioned, seemed to transition pretty well as a freshman, because she set a lot of records. She was up in the top near, in the SUNY qualifying and all that, and placing and scoring a lot of points. So it looks like her freshman year she hasn't had that sophomore slump.
No, definitely. She's seeming to be adapting quite well and moving along without too many hiccups in the process. And then in addition to Lauren, we've got Kelly Ruff. She's incredibly hungry for the 200 butterfly. She really wants that badly, and wants to make an NCAA cut time in that too. She's also junior, so she wants to do it now with the idea that if she doesn't get invited, this year, that she wants to be invited next year. Hillary Chaco falls into that same situation, but we've most recently explored her abilities in the breaststroke area, and quite particularly the 200 breaststroke. She seems to be really taking to extremely well, so it'll be very exciting to see what comes of that when we get to SUNY.
Right. So there, the SUNY championships are coming up as we near the tail end of the season, and certainly it can go another month if we have competitors that are fortunate enough to qualify in their, either their times or, Jermaine in the, the fact of his diving regionals, to get that for a third straight year for Jermaine. I mean, he's been there 2 years in a row, certainly, as you say. I mean, his
evolution has been really fantastic.
From his freshman year to, to now, I mean, just it seems like mentally and just his commitment to wanting to be that good. And, and again, I think that goes back to that sort of experiential knowledge. Like he's been there, he's done that, he knows what he's up against, he's mentally prepared, he's physically prepared. It really does make a big difference. Well, we certainly wish all the best, to all of the competitors this year in our men's and women's programs as they compete for a SUNY title. Our men keep inching closer and closer, and our women certainly have made strides in the last few years as well. So we want to wish you the best of luck here at the end of the season.
Good, great, thanks.
And thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks, Geoff.
I'd like to thank head men's and women's swimming and diving coach Chris Schuler-Giorsi for coming by tonight. And after the break, I'll be joined in studio by junior Kevin Flessa.
So, I got this new family, and I don't know what it is about this one, but she can't seem to put down that toy all day long. Tap, 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 tap. Oh, and she even talks to it. She talks to that more than she talks to him. What's up, bro? Nice shirt. Who's she talking to? Her mom? She talks to her mom a lot.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is men's swimmer and junior Kevin Flessa. Welcome to the show, Kevin.
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm currently a junior. I'm a chemistry major at Oneonta. I'm a mid-distance swimmer, mostly specialized in the 200 backstroke, 4 IM, 5 freestyle, but I have been touching on the 100 back this year a little bit, which is interesting for me because I like that.
Yeah.
Captain of the swim team, and I try and motivate my team as best I can.
Right. What's that? Not uncommon to be a captain as a junior, but what does that mean for you, as an upperclassman to be a captain of the swim team?
I mean, to me, to be a captain, I take that as like a leadership position, but more so like as a connection between my coach and the swimmers. I mean, I know our coach is a little bit friendlier than most coaches. Like, we don't see him as like a big evil dictator. Right. But as a captain, I see myself as like a person that people can go to if they don't feel comfortable going to coach, or if there's something that coach is doing and they don't want to be the bad guy to go an abrupt coach. They can come to me. And also as like a role model, kind of. At practice, I like to be the first one in the pool. I like to work as hard as I can in the pool, so people kind of look up to me and stuff like that. And so you
look at yourself as someone who leads by example.
Yes.
Okay, because there are two types. There's somebody who's the rah, get them motivated, and then there's a person who, like you said, just gets in there and just kind of gets it done on a daily basis. So you swim quite a few, strokes for us. I mean, you said you're really enjoying the backstroke this year. Coming in from high school, I mean, did you think where you might fit in, or was it more or less maybe?
Not really, actually. I did swim backstroke in high school, but I was a distance swimmer in high school. I swam a lot of 500 freestyle stuff, 200 freestyle stuff.
Okay.
And coming into college, I do swim the 500 freestyle still, but I'm not as competitive in it as I was in high school. But I never thought that I would be like mid-distance backstroke, or 4IM for that matter. I was a terrible breaststroker in high school, so just to swim the IM, which is obviously all 4 strokes in one event, was kind of not in my thought process.
Right.
Anyway,
so now, you can say that maybe during your first 2+ seasons, you haven't completed your third yet. You've evolved, maybe matured, maybe gotten stronger, and maybe when you work, coach, maybe that's helped you a little bit.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I work with a bunch of my coaches just fixing strokes day in and day out. So over the years, I've developed new techniques to each stroke and stuff like that. So
now, how important is it? How important is the strength part of it?
That it plays a huge role, not so much in the distance end and the endurance end, but as a mid-distancer, I kind of have to balance endurance and strength at the same time, whereas like a sprinter is just all strength, and then a distance swimmer is all endurance. So I mean, for myself, it does play a huge role in my swimming.
Now, within the team framework, it's fun, track and tennis, and you have all these what they call like individual sports, but yet you do need to perform in order to for the success of the overall team. I mean, are you asked at various times to maybe, swim a certain distance where, to help the team? I mean, has that happened?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think everybody on the team generally has one of those meets where you kind of put in an event just because, they know that you can win that event or something. It may not be an event you usually swim, but, to help the team out, you got to take one for the team. So.
Right. And what do you think that means to the rest of the team? Like you say, when you're a leader, and you're willing to, hey, I'll go do that, coach, or you're asking me to do that. I mean, do you think that permeates through the rest of the team?
Oh yeah, I think when someone sees you just go at it like your comfort zone to swim something else, and sees you, I mean, whether you do good in it or not, just to see you swim that is just like, wow, okay, this, he's really taking a step out there to help us out.
Right. What kinds of things do you enjoy most about the program and the college? I mean, are there some highlight things that you can maybe talk about?
The team itself, we're super close-knit family, and I think that's like the greatest thing ever. I know some sports teams out there that are just like all business, no fun, but I mean, us ourselves, I gotta say, like it's like a family to me anyway.
Right.
We do like dinners together, like without our coach or anything, just us hanging out, and we're always on the weekends. We're always hanging out together. So I mean, that's probably like the biggest thing I enjoy about the swim team.
Now,
anyway.
To this point in your, again, you haven't completed your third year yet, but why did you come to Oneonta?
I actually came here in looks to do a chemical engineering program, a 3-2 program.
Mm-hmm.
But after like taking a couple classes in chemistry, I was like, oh, I like chemistry. So I stuck with that instead. But my sister came here when she was a freshman. She swam for coach too.
Okay.
And she kind of gave me the insight, like it was a nice area and everything, and I came to visit her a couple times, and I really liked it up here. So I was like, oh, well, it was a really nice school. I think I could enjoy it.
Right. It seems like that, a lot of the student athletes that we have on the show, one of the things they really do talk about is the location, the looks of the campus. It feels almost like that homey feel. You're not really in a big city. It's kind of got a town whatever. But anything else? You guys do some community service. You guys work with young children. We have our Swim with the Fish program. Is that?
Yeah, they do. They teach swim lessons at the pool. I am not a part of that, but I know a bunch of people on the team do. We do that fundraise for like our Florida trip and everything like that.
Florida trip, always an enjoyable trip. This year it was quite the excursion.
Yeah. We did have a problem this year with like the weather and stuff. We weren't able to get a flight down there, so we had to take a bus down there, which was kind of fun. But
so it's a good thing everyone's like you said. It's a good thing everybody likes each other.
Yeah. But I mean, the trip is it's fun. It's a lot of work. It's not all hanging out on the beach, but other than that, it's a lot of fun.
Right. So certainly, being able to do those types of things as a student athlete, there aren't opportunities for that in some other, areas or whatever. Well, listen, we'd like to wish you the best of luck coming up here, for the SUNY Championships, and we hope the men as a team perform like you're capable of, as well as yourself, and we wish you the best of health, because at this point in the season, you just want to get there as you taper and stuff. So certainly good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'd like to thank junior captain Kevin Flessa for coming by tonight, and after the break, I'll be joined by senior Alexa Poliachik.
Traditional light bulbs actually generate 9 times more heat than light. Switch to Energy Star light bulbs, and you'll realize just how much cash you are really burning through. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov.
Welcome back to the show. Joining me now in studio is senior women's swimmer Alexa Poliachik. Welcome to the show, Alexa.
Thank you, Geoff.
We were off before we got on camera. We were talking about, wow, 4 years has kind of gone by pretty quickly here. And I mean, reflect on some of the highlights and some of the moments that you've had as a student athlete. I mean, both, on the campus and as an athlete.
Yeah, I mean, it has been a crazy ride so far. I can't believe it's over, not just for my time at Oneonta, but like swimming in general, because a lot of my teammates have been swimming and myself, since we were like little. For me, it's been 16 years coming to an end, so
wow,
it's very scary. But yeah, some of the highlights I'd have to say, well, definitely SUNY every year, just starting at freshman year and like starting to move up and like seeing us like get better and better every year, the team becoming closer. It's just been very special, the whole thing.
Right.
And then off campus, outside of the pool, I think just like finding my group of friends here and going from like that like quiet and secure kind of freshman who's not too sure about like life at Oneonta to like where I am today. I feel like I've become a lot more confident and outspoken. So.
Well, that's and really the college experience in Division III, I think allows students who, like you said, might be trying to figure out what they want to do, where they fit in, to be able to do that without all the stress of, big time, Division I, it's scholarship, you're here to do this, and, maybe not have time to do any of that other stuff. I mean, so do you, talk about that a little bit?
I completely agree with that. I feel like I've been able to kind of float between, like, athletics and school, because we're student athletes. We always say like student comes first. I know like coach is always pushing us to like get good grades and be all we can be in the classroom, scheduling your class times like around practice so you don't have to miss for practice, because obviously they're both important.
Yeah.
And
I mean, really, your time here, certainly with all the student athletes, for myself, when you get to, when you see the seniors kind of come through and they get to that point, and you even I get to look back and say, oh yeah, I remember something, or an instance, or a moment, or just a performance. For a lot of our student athletes, it's like one large video camera that I have in my mind sometimes, that I get to, take pictures. But how does that feel for you, being a, really a leader of our women's program and looking at the growth even just during your time here?
I think the thing that sticks out in my mind the most is going from having, I believe, no people, maybe one or two my freshman year on the podium at like SUNY for top 8, to this past year we had like several girls up there. We had 3 finishes in the top 3, so they got medals, and all of our relays were up there and stuff, so it was really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's gratifying for you to know that you're playing a part in that and being a leader.
Definitely. Yeah, I love it.
Now, academically, what's your major?
I'm a communication studies major with a minor in advertising.
Okay.
I switched into that my sophomore year.
Year.
I'm really liking it. So
Yeah.
Obviously, I've stuck it out. So.
Yeah, and you're hoping to, you might not know right now what you want to do, but you have some plans of maybe, what are some of the things that you might be looking into?
Again, I'm just kind of floating around some ideas. I started an application for the Peace Corps last semester, but I kind of didn't touch it over break, so I got to pick that up again. Ultimately, I want to work at an advertising agency, though, for obviously a brand that I enjoy, and I want to end up in Los Angeles, for some point in my life at least.
Yeah. Now, so you feel at home maybe in a big city? You wouldn't?
Yeah, just the weather is the majority of what's bringing me out there, and my grandma lives out in California, so I've been before, and it's an awesome lifestyle.
Yeah. So do you think that your background as a student athlete, how do you, as you're looking, into your future being a student athlete, what do you think that does for you in your job perspectives?
I think it definitely opens up a lot of doors. It kind of holds you back, I feel like, because sometimes in an interview, I feel like the person who's interviewing you is thinking this person only did sports throughout their life, but being on a sports team, you get community service, you know how to work in a team, you know what it's like to succeed, you know what it's like to fail, you know what it's like to fail after you've put in a season of work, and you've seen it really there's a lot of stuff underlying just I'm a swimmer, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Now, could you see yourself working in advertising, maybe associated with aquatics or swimming?
Yeah, I think working at Speedo or something might be fun.
Yeah. So. What are you hoping for as you maybe close out? You're going to close out your 4-year career here as one of our people who helped us build our women's program here in the last 4 years. What are you looking forward to as we get into that last push towards SUNYACs?
As a team, just moving up on the women's side, we want to get out of our 5th place slump that we've been in for the past couple of years. Again, every year we do get better, but it's so do the other teams. So hopefully this year we're just hoping to jump forward a bit, beat Fredonia, and New Paltz we're looking to beat, and place in top 3 at SUNYACs. And then individually, since the moment I step foot here, I've wanted to break a minute in my 100 fly, and I've gotten close a few times, so I still need to drop another second though, but it's doable, so I'm holding out for that.
Well, we certainly hope you get there, because we know how hard you've worked for 4 years. All the swimmers, it's just incredible the time commitment for that sport. That track, where you have to really put in enough time to really get better. So we hope you see the results, and we wish you the best of luck at SUNYACs.
Thank you so much, Geoff.
All right. Well, thanks for coming by. I'd like to thank all my guests tonight from the Men's and Women's Swimming and Diving program, and you can follow them as they head into the final part of their season at www.oneontaathletics.com for all their results, and especially the SUNYAC championships. I'd like to thank you for joining me this week, and I'll see you next time on Inside Red Dragon Sports.